wanted Trey Lance. I know the Indianapolis Colts wanted to draft Trey Lance. I
The Colts were the
guarantee,
team that came to mind. I had heard in the draft process the Colts did like Lance.
and I know I have a strong feeling that D'Amico Ryans would take Trey Lance off the 49ers' hands. I also think the Tennessee
D'Amico always
Titans.
spoke glowingly of Trey Lance. Like he was the
Exactly.
one guy I felt like nobody was really pumping Trey and saying how good he looked in training camp or in practice, except for D'Amico. D'Amico would come out and say, Trey's doing some stuff out there that's impressive.
And Fred Warner. Those are the two guys. And the hilarious part is they
And
were on the
Fred.
defense.
And Fred.
No one on the offense except for Debo once in a while. But yeah, it's been a raw deal for Trey. I feel bad for him. But the truth is, I think there's a lot of teams who are in a spot where they don't know their quarterback future. And if you don't like this quarterback draft, which a lot of teams don't, this is not a draft where you're going to be super high on quarterbacks. You're not going to be super high on a lot of guys. There's a lot of talk about how in this draft, like to pick 25 to pick 80, is there a massive drop off? No, there's a lot
Yeah.
of pros and cons. So I could definitely see a team. I could see the Houston Texans giving the Niners 33 and calling it a day. Absolutely, they have
Wow.
two. They have two first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
They also have the 48th pick in the draft. Okay, would you rather have Hendon Hooker coming off an ACL tear or Trey Lance? I'd rather have Trey Lance. Would you rather have Will Levis? I'd rather have Trey Lance. I think the only quarterback, to be honest, I know everyone's all in draft season, and so Bryce Young is the next great quarterback. But would you rather have a 5'10" quarterback who's accurate as all hell? Don't get me wrong, but we've seen 5'10" quarterbacks not make it very far in the NFL. They get hurt a lot. Now Trey gets hurt a lot too. But the other thing too is that Trey's the same age as a lot of these guys. He's younger than some of them. He's a year younger than 2 years younger than Hendon Hooker. He's a year younger than Will Levis. I think he's the same age as Anthony Richardson.
That's
I really
insane. It's like, yeah, he's been in the league for 2 years and he's still younger than a lot of these quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
and the teams I spoke about right now, they have a ton of cap room, so they can salvage taking Trey Lance at a higher cap number for a couple years and even the fifth year option. It's not as crazy as people think. I feel like I think people have been saying they don't think Trey has a lot of trade value because they don't want him to get traded. And I'm in that category as well. But I feel like the Niners can get a high second round pick for him. And then to be honest, the Niners can just say, well, in actuality, we gave up two first round picks to draft Trey Lance, and we moved back from our what would have been the 28th, 29th pick in this year's draft, moved back three spots. They can sell that from a PR standpoint. But don't get me wrong, the fan base can be pissed as all hell if they trade Trey Lance, and I don't blame you. I'd be pissed too.
See,
Um,
I like that, and that's where something right now. I don't want to trade, but if you're telling me you're getting an early second round pick, that might be something that might entice me. That one might entice me because you might be able to get a Michael Mayer or a legitimate plug and play right tackle, and maybe you'll have a name for me because we are going to talk some NFL draft prospects. The chat is live right now. Nick said, "Yo, baller, what's up?" What's up, Nick? I'm still. Yesterday, I kind of lost my mind. I found out Draymond was suspended live on air, and kind of lost my mind here on StreamYard. But I've moved past that. We're talking some Niners, some NFL draft.
yeah,
Nick says,
we
I
won't
can't
bring it up.
trade Trey not knowing how long Purdy is down unless someone makes a great offer. And that's where Johnny's kind of convincing me here. He's saying maybe the Texans with that early, is that the second pick of the second round?
Yeah, it's a second pick. It's one behind Chicago traded their second round, which would be a first round pick because of the forfeit from Miami for Chase Claypool, which is hilarious.
That is, yeah,
Uh,
that looks like that was like a reach.
yeah.
So, okay. So we've been talking Lance, and I'm thinking his value might be closer to a third. You think maybe it, potentially early two. I just think there's still an unknown, and he's coming off the injury. He hasn't played a ton, so that's where I'm getting maybe a third round pick is
Well,
what I think teams would be willing to offer.
my thing is that And and the teams I just named, not one of them is competing for a championship this next year. They're not anywhere close to making the playoffs, or literally the entire AFC South except for the Jacksonville Jaguars have no shot, regardless of who they draft. They could draft the next Deion Sanders in this draft. It will not matter. It's going to be rough for those teams. So that's where I think a team can sell it, because they can give the two. The Niners get what they want. They get what they want. And they get a quarterback for at least 2 years. You can give them a shot. And if you suck next year, and maybe you do suck really bad, guess what you can go get? You can go get Caleb Williams or get the kid from North Carolina next year. I mean, both those guys, they're going to go 1-2 in the draft next year. It's not the end of the world. And it gives Trey the thing he needs, a chance to play. I think Atlanta's an option too. I could see Atlanta giving it to Arthur Smith. Apparently, really liked Trey Lance. That was one of the reasons why the Niners wanted to go to 3, was because they wanted to jump the Falcons to do their due diligence on the quarterback position. So
it makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
Falcon, they could bring in what? Then you just let Trey and Ritter compete, because supposedly they like Ritter. Sounds like they might be ready to roll into next year with Desmond Ritter at the quarterback position. We'll see. They're definitely Rappaport said it today. There are multiple teams calling the 49ers about Trey Lance. And, that makes me, I was pessimistic, or I was optimistic Trey was going to stick around on the 49ers. And now after this report, there's some skepticism coming in on my behalf.
Yeah.
Real quick, Johnny, I wanted to ask you about, because there was some other quarterback news. It's like there's a lot of quarterback turmoil going on with the 49ers, because earlier in the week, Purdy was reported as saying by Yahoo Sports that he's not really sure about playing in 2023. Like, that was a shocker to me. Like, I was thinking, okay, maybe Purdy could miss the first 4. Maybe he's on like the short-term IR. And I was like, okay, that's a perfect opportunity to see what Trey Lance has to offer. Give him those 4 games. Let Brock Purdy get back to 100%. We don't want to rush him back. But now he's quoted as saying he's not really sure. I mean, what have you heard about that?
Yeah, so apparently Yahoo had a video up that contradicts the quote, saying that he's just not really sure when he'll be back. Didn't say when he'll be back. He's just taking it one day at a time. Kind of what he's always said.
He's always safe. He's always safe with his wording.
Yeah, and that's a smart thing to do, because he shouldn't rush back. Because the one thing that I think we talked about when we first talked after the season was, I think if you go back to our old videos, I literally said I don't think Brock's going to play until October, because the timeline on him has been kind of outrageous with everyone, because everyone says, well, Nick Mullins came back. Okay, could Nick Mullins be a starting NFL quarterback in 6 months later? Or did he not play until November, which is what happened? He played 1 game for the Cleveland Browns in November. He was on the Eagles practice squad, and he was able to rebound and get his career going. So that was one of the reasons why I thought they were going to keep Trey Lance, was just because I didn't think Brock was going to be back until probably October, maybe November, and maybe Trey can take the job back. But it sounds like the Niners are being ultra aggressive with this timeline, which is, I don't know. It's not. I don't think.
You know what the thing is? I don't think Brock's gonna let them do anything he's not comfortable with. I think Brock Purdy, he's just precisely. But whereas somebody else, the Niners might be able to kind of push him around and get him to try to accelerate things because they feel like they need him. I feel like Brock, he's got that strong person. Hey, shut up in the huddle. I'm talking. He's telling these other guys to shut up, right? Yeah. And it's like Brock, I don't think he's just going to be the puppet if the Niners wanted to push him that way, which I don't think the Niners really would try to do anything that would harm him. Because, look, it sounds like they might want to trade Trey. So that would mean they're all in on Brock. So they should be doing everything in Brock's best interest. But let's put a bow on the quarterback talk, because really, I know you've been hitting these NFL draft prospects hard, and I've also studied a few positions and hit them hard too. So I want to get into some prospects, but let's put a bow on the quarterback talk. Do you think Lance is being traded at the draft time?
I don't know. I think yes. I think what will happen is after the 12th pick is when they'll know. Because and then why I say the 12th pick, Houston has pick 3 or pick 2 and then 12. Tennessee has 11. And then also, believe the Colts have 4. I think the
Mhm.
Colts, it sounds like the Colts are going to take Will Levis. Um,
I was thinking maybe Anthony Richardson to the
yeah,
Colts.
I don't think Ballard's going to take him.
Mm.
Because I think if you take Anthony Richardson, you have to trade DeForest Buckner. You have to trade Leonard. You kind of have to go into the full rebuild. Maybe even trade Jonathan Taylor.
You think
Um,
so? You can't do
no,
some special like rushing type of attack because that dude Anthony Richardson, he's a dynamic athlete. Just the
mhm.
size, the athleticism, the speed. I,
Oh, and there's
I
no
think you
question.
could build with Jonathan Taylor like, and then you got Michael Pittman just running like streaks down the field. You can hit him 50-yard bomb, jump ball.
Yeah,
I,
Alex Pierce too. I really liked Alex Pierce in last year's draft process. I
oh, I
really
did
liked
out
him.
of Cincinnati. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like me some Alec Pierce.
yeah, no, yeah. I just feel like taking Richardson is the sign because like Buckner, I think he had an interview where he basically said, "I ain't going through another rebuild." And if you take Richardson, he's really young and just I don't know. It sends a message to your. I mean, they've already kind of sent the message to the locker room, but that they're kind of in the same situation as the 49ers, except it's bit them in the ass, and it hasn't bitten the 49ers in the ass yet. But it could. Uh, yeah, I have a feeling that if they take, I mean, I think they're going to take Levis and try and get pro style and operate that scheme. I mean, their coach, who's the name? Let's use the coach, Shane Steichen. He might want Richardson, or he might run Stroud because they're a little bit more like Jalen Hurts and can bring that RPO and that zone read scheme over and kind of just not skip a beat and use Taylor the way they used the plethora of backs because he's a monster. Um, but the Colts are an aging roster and they're coming off a terrible season. I don't know. But I think I really believe if Trey Lance gets traded, it's going to be into the AFC South. One of those 3 teams. Maybe Atlanta.
Titans, Texans. Who's
Colts.
the other team? Colts. Yeah.
Colts. I mean,
Yeah.
even if the Colts they send a 2 for Trey Lance, it's not a indict. It's not. They're not exactly going to be going to the Super Bowl next year. So that's why I think their teams are going to offer more than what's being talked about or expected.
All right, Johnny. You know what I want to hear? It's about that time. I want to hear about some of your draft crushes. Last year, you put me on to Sam. You put me on to a few guys, notably Sam Williams, who I liked, who had a pretty good rookie season, made an impact for the Cowboys. So I want to hear who you're looking at for the 49ers to draft coming up. What names you got for me?
So I mean, I think a lot of us know that this has been a harder one when you're not picking until 99. Um, and so doing this, basically what I did was kind of just start all over the place and kind of, figure it out. Number one is at edge. This is a guy who I think a lot of people might be down on because of his lack of production. But then I watched his tape and I really liked it. It was Dylan Horton from TCU. PFF has him crazy low on their draft board. The tape does not match that. So Dylan Horton at TCU, they ran a very similar scheme to Cincinnati, where they basically will rush 3 and drop 8 constantly, and they're in that kind of that a 3-3-3 alignment with with a nickel and a down safety. So it's 8 guys in the box with a lot of speed. He's phenomenal against the run. I really like Dylan Horton as a guy who could probably. I think he's going to go. I think NFL people have him higher than the public does. But I really like him at in the 4th or 5th round. I think he could be available. I think he could go even in the 3rd round. Like I think he's really good. He was very productive as far as making plays and blowing plays up. He's a big guy that blow up the play stat. If you tagged a guy in that, Dylan Horton is very high on that list for me.
You know what? I'm glad you brought him up because he's on my list. Defensive end is a position that I hit really hard, and
Hmm.
he's one of two names that I didn't get to down at the bottom of the list. So now you gave me a reason to check out Dylan Horton. I pulled up his PFF stats because yes, I am subscribed to PFF. We'll see if that continues next year, but right now I am. So I got his grade. They like his run defense grade 74.6. His pass rushing grade's better than average. Okay, I'm gonna check him out. Thanks for putting me onto him. I'm gonna counter you, Johnny, and
Ooh,
give you an edge rusher that I like. And this guy's probably more of a third round pick, but I like Zach Harrison out of Ohio State. My notes on him, he's got those hands that I like. The ability, right when the offensive lineman's about to punch you, he's swiping so they can't get hands on him, and he's bending the corner and getting after the quarterback. So he's got those good hands that I really like in my defensive ends. And then he's got that acceleration. As soon as the ball's snapped, he's jumping off the line of scrimmage.
hmm.
He also, in addition, he's also showing some power, flashes some good power. Where that's the one thing maybe Drake Jackson's also has the good hands. He's got the bend. That's the one thing with Drake Jackson. I'm not sure, in terms of bull rushing a tackle or if they put him in at guard. The play strength. That's my one question mark with Drake, and I'm
Yeah.
seeing it with Zach Harrison. Although I'm hoping, I think I told you this before, Johnny, but I'm hoping Drake Jackson is that guy who really hones in on his body in the offseason and comes back yoked up and jacked. And they're like, hey, Drake Jackson was putting in work in the
Hmm.
offseason, in the weight room. That's what I'm hoping for. But I think Zach Harrison, if they wanted a defensive end in that third round, he might be a guy who's going to be there. Ohio State, they
Five
produce
star.
pass they produce pass rushers. Was he a 5-star?
He was the number one recruit. He
No
was the
shit.
number one recruit. So Zach Harrison was the number one recruit in the country. The year he went to Ohio State. If you go back a few years and look at like draft classes for like future years, he was the number one pick. Zach Harrison is Jadeveon Clowney, but less instinctual. He makes a fair amount of mistakes, but he's got a lot of traits. Like a lot of really like unteachable traits. He's got speed, size, length. He's Ohio State guy, good with his name, good with his hands. He's the Ohio State defensive end coach knows exactly what he's doing as far as that counter move with your hands constantly moving and swiping. Um, yeah, that's a phenomenal call. But I'm going to be honest, he's going to go high in the third round. He might even go in the second round.
You think so?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
he's
I
too
am
big
kind
of a
of
name.
hoping. Yeah, it could be. It could be. And that's why I hit defensive end hard. I got some other names for you. And we
Ooh,
don't have to only stick exclusively on defensive ends. Before we move off of Harrison, why don't I pulled up his stats here. Or well, PFF liked him the past 3 years at Ohio State with grades above 80. And
mhm.
he had the 6 sacks last year. You can look at the pass rush grade and the pass rush win rate are above average. Anyway, I like Zach Harrison, but I want to hear Johnny. Well, who's another prospect that you're really liking, you're crushing on, that you want the Niners to grab?
Um, I'm gonna run through some names. We don't have to pull them up. I'm gonna pull up one guy or talk about one guy. But there's a couple. I know Wanya Morris is a name that a lot of people like, and for obvious reasons. Uh,
Tackle?
yeah, you didn't like him?
I'm not. You know what? I can't really say I didn't hit the tackle position too hard. I did like a quick that. I'm not. I don't think I was overly impressed with Wanya, but tell me about him.
No, he's just a guy who improved a lot. His freshman year, he started at Tennessee and was a disaster. And Nick, that's a very good question. I will answer that question after I do a little spiel. I like his play strength and his mobility. He can move and he's strong. I think he was a guy though who just kind of needs to figure it out. I like him in the comp pick third round area because I don't think he's going to be able to start right away. I think he needs to get stronger. He needs to kind of get into the speed of the NFL. But he's definitely a good developmental prospect because I think realistically he's probably going to be the only tackle on the board that's worth drafting at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about Warren McClendon the right
Ooh,
tackle from Georgia, because that's a guy who he's far down on these prospect lists at the tackle position.
it's
The
because
guy
he's
didn't
6'4". It's
He's
6'4",
kind of
300 pounds.
small. He's kind of
Yeah.
small, and he's like, I've watched him move. Like Georgia threw some screens, and he was out in space, and it doesn't look like he moves that fluidly.
Hmm.
Especially for being on the smaller size. I think you'd hope he'd be like this kind of agile mover for a tackle position. So I think it's more of about like the size and the measurables. But when you just watch the guy play, Johnny, his technique is so freaking good. He
Hmm.
didn't give up his sack his last 3 years at Georgia, Johnny. I don't have to tell you that's in the SEC with all these premier players all over. You got Will Andrew, you got all these pass rushers all over the place that are going to be drafted high.
Yeah.
And Warren McClendon's not letting any of them sniff the quarterback, and yet he's being mocked in like the fourth, fifth round. So that's a guy who I think just the fact that he's just been so darn good at Georgia, locking up that right tackle position, that I mean, I'd be intrigued.
It's just his height. The Niners don't like tackles unless you're 6'5" plus. And I understand why. The taller you are, the more reach you have, the more of the ability to not get your hands locked inside of you from a defensive end standpoint, unlike somehow 6'8" Mike McGlinchey constantly did. Um, it's more what it is. He's got some short arms. He's played a lot of football. He's only 22 years old, which bodes well for him. But I
Oh yeah,
liked,
that's
I,
young. Yeah, that's
yeah,
young,
he's 22. I think he like just turned
and with a
22.
lot of experience too.
Yeah. So he's played a lot of football. If you get him in the 6th round, that's phenomenal. I'm not gonna complain about that. But he's not. Yeah, I think in general this draft is kind of full of developmental guys. Like I don't think that if the Niners don't make any trades and they stand pat at where they're at, I don't see anyone who's going to make a year one impact except for maybe a few guys in the 3rd round comp range and maybe the 4th round. So maybe some of the defensive ends because they might be able to translate easier in the Kasaric scheme. But I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Let's put it this way: I'm not beating down the door for any prospect that I say because I feel like there's a lot of guys who have a lot of similarities between anyone I'm going to name today. But yeah, I like Wanya Morse. I feel like Freeland and Steen and Duncan are going to be gone by the time the Niners pick in the third
Yeah,
round.
I was going to ask you about Freeland. That might be a
Yeah.
guy who they'd have to move up to get him. And it's so darn expensive to
Mhm.
trade up, Johnny. It's so freaking expensive. Like if the Niners packaged all three of those third round picks and moved up, like where's that going to get you? Is that going to get you to the back end of the second maybe, or is that like early third?
Nah, barely the back end of the set. I think the highest I saw, I tried it on PFF, um, was like the 58th pick. I think the Niners do have a trump card. They could trade a 3rd round pick next year. They got 2 3rd round comp picks. So there is that it's a way to get creative, and the Niners could use that as ammo because they have picks going to be right around that range where it's not
And
the
they
end of
get
the
their
world.
first round pick back, and
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 second,
they have their second round pick, so
mm-hmm.
that makes it a little more palatable to move that third round pick. Okay, that's something to watch. And that Freeland would be a guy if they did do something like that. Maybe that's a guy they target if they traded into the back end of the second round or into the early part of the third round and took Blake Freeland. What would be your reaction there?
I wouldn't like that. He's Mike McGlinchey
Mm,
2.0. I mean,
really?
he's a good developmental guy. I like his skill set, but here's the thing: he played at BYU, and who did he play? The other tackle a few years ago came out from BYU. He's a guard now. He's 6'6", the guy that from on the Panthers. He was the highest rated tackle in football the year he came out, the Zach Wilson year, and he ended up going late in the 3rd round, and now he's a guard. So like, it's his competition is lacking. He has a really high PFF grade. He is a right tackle, but
He's not tested.
he's not
He's
tested. He's
he's not
he's
tested.
6'8" and he's not very strong. So he's Mike McGlinchey 2.0.
Let's
That
let's answer Nick's question here because it is a good one. And let me read it off. When you guys are looking at draft prospects, how much weight do you put on their college numbers? Do you look more at their size and measurables and how it relates to the NFL game? you know what, Nick? I do put some credence into the stats, but really what I put the most into is the tape, watching the player, how he
Mm-hmm.
plays. Is he dominating? Is he like, you could have a pass rusher who only, like Zach Harrison, who I'm really high on from Ohio State. He had 6 sacks, which doesn't really jump out at you. But when I watch the tape, he's just making an impact on plays. He's around the quarterback. He's beating his guy, kind of pressure. He's kind of just grabbing at the quarterback. He's affecting the play. So that's what I put the most credence into, is just, what does the film tell me? And, if the guy's got 12 sacks, or he caught, 80 balls for 1,000 yards, well, then it probably tells you that his team really freaking liked that guy. So they had to get him the rock. So I do put some credence into the stats, but it's the tape that holds the most for me. And then the measurables, I honestly think too much is put into the measurables. I like to go back to the tape and, like, I know, Warren McClendon, like you said, he's smaller, but it's like when I watch the guy play, he's just not getting beat. His tech, he's just in the right spot.
Will Anderson gave him the business a bit.
You know what? You're gonna have to put me on to him, because I watched that game and I was locked in on Warren McClendon. Although you know what? He might have been coming back off that knee. He might have rushed back. That was at the end of the year, right? In the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Anderson gave him the business.
He was playing through something. I'm not making excuses for guys, but I remember he had came out of the game before, I want to say against LSU. He was banged up, but he wanted to get back for his guys. But I'm just saying, the tape I saw, that's what holds the most credence for me, Nick, is the tape. Johnny, you take a crack at this one.
Yeah. So in the context, where I learned how to watch tape is my old high school coach, who now coaches in the NFL. And he always said the tape never lies. His dad was also a coach in the league as well.
But you got to give us a name now, Johnny. You can't just allude to, or is it like a secret? Is it top secret information?
He coached me at Sarah for a year. I got lucky; he happened to be there.
But who is he now? What team is he on?
I'll give you a hint. His quarterback is Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah, he's in Cincy.
He's in Cincy.
Okay, all right.
I'll give you a hint. It's one of the top 3 coaching jobs there. You could figure it out. There was only one of them who lived in California. I think you could figure it out from there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Johnny's going to make me get work to get the answer, but okay. But Johnny,
I don't like to name drop him anymore, because I don't really talk to him anymore. I don't like name dropping people. But when we talked about, like, because he knew I wanted to, like, get into coaching.
See, I'm the opposite. I name drop anybody. I bumped into Bill Walton, and I've told, like, anybody who's seen me in person in the last, like, month, I'm like, hey, I was chopping it up with Bill Walton. Like, baller will name drop. I ran to Seth Davis, who does, like, the bracketology for CBS. I saw him and I was like, Seth, I'll name drop. So Johnny, you're a better man than I name drop anybody who I come in contact with. That's big time. So that's
fair.
Good for you. But sorry to cut you off. I want you to answer this one.
No. So the tape should tell the story. The combine should just confirm it. So, one of the things that we always talked about when we watch tape is, over and over again, how is your technique? And it's process over results, right? I've always felt like in the NFL draft process, the tape gets pushed back to the side for measurables. And you see guys like Justin Ross go super high. At the quarterback position,
I liked Justin Ross. For the record, I liked Justin Ross. I thought he was going to be good out of Washington. I was like, oh, this guy, he's a deep threat. And then, like, then he ran this 40. Sometimes I am a sucker for the combine once in a while. And it's like only with the 40-yard dash, though. Like, you have, bench press and, the shuttle and all that. The 40, 4-3-1, 4-2-8. What? Oh, then it's like I put an arrow. He's going up the draft board. I may or may not have done it this year with Zach Kuntz, but not only is it the 40-yard dash with Kuntz. All right, the guy is just an athlete. You don't see these 6'6" or 6'7" players who run routes with the kind of wiggle that Zach Kuntz does. So I'm a big Zach Kuntz guy. Nick, that was a great question. Thank you for sharing that one.
It was.
I want to hear what you think of Kuntz, because I put out my top 5 tight ends, and I did it in a YouTube short, and I worked Zach Kuntz into the 5 spot.
Really?
Yeah. I went. Okay, let me give you a 1 through 5. I went Michael Mayer, then I went Dalton Kincaid, then I went Sam Laporta, who's giving me flashbacks to Dallas Clark. I love me some Sam Laporta. Then I went Darnell Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 5th spot, who was it? I mean, I was looking at Kraft out of South Dakota. I was looking at, I'm not a Schoonmaker guy. I like Wiley out of Cincinnati, but, just I went with Zach Kuntz. I think he's just, with his size and the kind of wiggle that he has, the speed, I think he's a weapon. Now, I will say he was not as physical in the run game as I wanted him to be. He wasn't. I can't lie. Although John Chapman, who I know puts in a lot of work, and I respect his opinion, he was absolutely obliterating Zach Kuntz on air and said, like, he's allergic to contact and all kinds of, and I was like, I wanted to push back, and I ended up rewatching what game was it? I gotta go to my Zach Kuntz. I rewatched the game because it's one of the few games that there's not a ton of Old Dominion film to choose from.
Yeah,
Johnny.
it's hard to find.
There's not a ton of Old Dominion film to choose from, but I went back. I want to say it was against Virginia, and I watched every freaking snap of Zach Kuntz, and he is blocking. Right? He kind of works his way to the second level, and he kind of gets his angles, but no, he is not mauling dudes. So I knocked him there, but I didn't think he was allergic to contact. I thought that was a little too harsh, and I think he's a weapon. He's going to be a weapon as a pass catcher. That's why you're drafting him. He's plucking balls away from his frame. He's got crazy agility and speed, and he's 6'7". Like, that's why you're drafting him. You're not drafting him to be an inline blocker.
Yeah. No, I agree. Kuntz is a move tight end. He's basically a slot wide receiver, at least right away. The problem I have with Kuntz and his fit with the 49ers is the 49ers sort of have that guy in Ross Dwelley. So, like, when Kittle gets hurt, they have that guy who can catch passes once in a while, and they brought back Ross Dwelley. So
Ross Dwelley has crazy hands, but he does not move nowhere near like Zach Kuntz.
No, he doesn't. Zach Kuntz is a physical specimen. Like, there's 6'7", almost 260, and he ran like a 4.55. Like, yeah, that's like NBA crazy quickness sort of deal. Like, you don't see guys that tall run move that fast.
It's freaky.
Yeah. He's physical. He's not physical, but he's a good receiver. I think he's a super athlete. I think he's going to take a lot of development, and I like him. I mean, top 5 right now. I think from a pure, if you're going to do like a what's the word I'm looking for? Evaluation of Kuntz. Like, right now, he steps on the field, you're starting tight end. He's probably a 5th or 6th round pick, because I wouldn't trust him against any defensive end at all. He doesn't have enough bend in the run game. His hand placement's kind of rough. And so, he played at Old Dominion, but I think, what was it?
Penn State.
Penn State game.
He was my bad. He was at Penn State. He transferred to Old Dominion. Yeah. I thought that's what you were going to allude to.
Yeah, no. His Penn State tape, I went back and watched a couple of his blocks, and like, there's a reason why he transferred. He wasn't a very good blocker.
Yeah, so, that was he transferred because he wasn't getting on the field at Penn State. So maybe that is a red flag. So who are you putting in? Let me hear your top 5. I'm putting you on the spot. I had time to think about mine.
It's pretty similar. I love Musgrave. You don't like him.
I don't like Musgrave. I'm lower on Musgrave. No, I think you want to talk about physicality and Musgrave.
He doesn't have any.
He doesn't like Musgrave. Musgrave is just like you said about Kuntz. He's a wide receiver. I mean, he's basically a wide receiver out there that you're kind of labeling as a tight end. The only difference is there's about 3 or 4 inches that Kuntz has. So yeah, Musgrave. I don't hate him, but I just think he's like at that point. It's like why not have a wide receiver out there? That was the
Yeah.
vibe I was getting. I'm sorry, Musgrave. I know you have like family ties across the NFL, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say right now, if I was at top tight ends, I would go. I think Mayer is one. I don't understand this Kincaid. I know he worked out better, but like Michael Mayer, like they're saying his production was inflated. No, Notre Dame was bad, and Michael Mayer was always open. Like I don't
He's a
understand that.
beast. I mean,
He's a
it was.
he's a
I was thinking
phenomenal
of
player.
Gronk. I mean, Gronk did come to mind when you're watching Michael Mayer's tape. Just with how big he is and how he moves and how he separates, and also he moves people as a blocker. Like
Mhm.
that's what separated me because I, as just as specifically as a pure pass catcher, I think I do like Dalton. Not I think I do like Dalton Kincaid slightly more than Michael Mayer,
Yeah.
slightly. But Mayer gives you all the other stuff, right? The in terms of blocking, and he's just more versatile, maybe a little better after the catch. But Kincaid is just he's so smooth of a route runner, Johnny,
Mhm.
and it's his coordination, the way he's going up and attacking the ball at the high point. He's making all these acrobatic catches.
Yeah.
Kincaid, that's why I got him second on my list. He's just this premier pass catcher, but it's Michael Mayer can do it all. And that's
Yeah.
why I got him one. So I didn't mean to. I sorry, I keep cutting you off, but you win Michael Mayer one. Who you got two? Is it Kincaid?
No, it's Darnell Washington. Because like when I evaluate tight ends, I evaluate the blocking just as much as I do the receiving. And here's the reason why is because I want to find fits for the 49ers. That's something that, because I don't care about other teams. I want to find fits for the 49ers. And so because of that, I would love Darnell Washington would be the perfect Kyle Shanahan number 2 tight end because he's phenomenal in the play action game. Um, the Niners have not had a second tight end who can catch balls and make plays down the field. He can do that to a degree. He's
They
also
wanted
very
to
young.
do it with Jordan Reed. They wanted it to happen. They gave it a shot. And that's why I think that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they took not only one tight end, I would almost bet like a large sum of money they're going to draft one tight end. I wouldn't be shocked if they took two. I think it's a
Yeah.
really good tight end draft. You got Kittle there. And what's the depth behind Kittle, right? They brought back Ross Dwelley. Charlie Warner's still under contract. Charlie Warner couldn't sniff the field. Ross
Mm-hmm.
Dwelley couldn't sniff the field. Why not get
Yeah.
a couple guys to replace both of them? I'm trying to get better. This is a really good tight end class. So I think it might be, I think there's an opportunity there. Maybe you get not only one, but two tight ends.
I would love with one of their late 6s or late 5s, they pick up Payne Durham from Purdue.
Purdue, yeah.
He's my sleeper tight end because he actually blocks. He blocks well, and he's a good receiver. He's not a great receiver, but he's a good receiver. And I think in the Shanahan system, he would be the perfect number 2 tight end. You don't have to spend a ton of capital to get him. He's probably going to be there in the end of the 5th or the 6th round. He's sort of the perfect what the Niners need. A guy who can come in and block and pass protect when called upon, and when he gets the ball thrown at him, he will catch it and at least get 10 yards. That's exactly what the Niners do. Kittle's
I like me some Durham. He
Yeah.
caught the 56 balls last year for the 560 yards. My notes say, he flashed good hands and a solid blocker.
Yeah.
Solid blocker, like you said. I want to power through these comments because we got some folks in the chat stopping by. We appreciate it. Nick said, "Did you feel the earthquake? Whereabouts are you, baller? I'm in the East Bay." Nick, I'm out in Walnut Creek. I grew up in South San Francisco, South City. That's my town. But I moved out to Walnut Creek a couple years ago. So now I'm an East Bay cat too now, Nick. I'm out in the East Bay vibing, and I really like it out here. East Bay's treated me pretty well. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep moving. Nick said, "I like stats, but if the draft was by college stats, the NFL would be dead." You're not wrong there. Nick said, "Coaches the Oko Callahan. He's already figured it out." MF said,
I made it really easy.
You did.
I made it really easy. His dad was a coach of the Raiders, so I said former NFL coach. That made it really easy. He was coach. It was Brian Callahan took him to the Super Bowl the year that the Gruden Bucks beat him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Callahan.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, MF. What's up, MF? He said hard to evaluate the Chicago game. The weather was a mess for Trey and the boys. You're right. I mean, it was hard. It was hard conditions to play in, and that's why I
Hey,
want to see Trey. I want to see him play more. I don't want him traded. That's how we opened the show talking about if he's getting traded. Do we want him to get traded? And I still don't think he's getting traded, Johnny. I don't. Not this offseason. I think his stock's too low. If he has a good preseason, honestly, a good preseason, as silly as that sounds, it's preseason, that can boost your stock. I mean, look what Matt Schaub did for the Falcons. He was sitting on the bench, had a good preseason, and next thing you know, they turned it into, I want to say, like a second or third round pick. So it's just, and that's Matt Schaub, who was unknown at the time.
Yeah, I listen, MF. I agree 100%. And I'm not saying trade Trey Lance because I want to trade Trey Lance. I'm saying the Niners are going to trade Trey Lance because they want to trade him. And that's just the fact. The only person who has been on this correctly is Kruger, is that the Niners don't have the patience for this anymore. I don't know why. It's not our call, but I think there's a reason why when Ian Rappaport, when they signed Sam Darnold, go back and watch the clip when he's talking to Pat McAfee and they're talking about Brock Purdy's injury, how Ian Rappaport just talks about Sam Darnold and it's talked like Trey Lance is a ghost. Go watch that clip. And even the guys from Pat McAfee are kind of scratching their head, like, what about Trey Lance? And he's like, no, the guy's going to be Sam Darnold. And it was just like, but why? It was bizarre. And the Niners' behavior points me in this direction. It's not something that I don't think any Niner fan wants to do. Even the former Jimmy fans who are now Niner or still Niner fans because they're a Niner fan, and you're like, okay, well, trading him isn't that smart. So like, what are you doing? So I hear you, man. It's not. It is what it is.
Nick says it was a 3.4 in Antioch. I didn't feel it, Nick. I didn't
either.
MF said, thoughts on John Feliciano. Feliciano, I think he's just kind of this utility guy, MF. I think he's just the utility. You know, he can play guard. He played some center too, right, Johnny?
Mm-hmm.
He's played good center. I think he's kind of this utility backup where Brendel goes down or Burford. If Burford, I know you're a Burford guy. You were telling me about him before the Niners even drafted him. I mean, he was solid, Johnny. He was solid, and that's as a rookie. So I'm anticipating Burford's going to get better in year 2. Mm-hmm. But if he's a guy, remember he was platooning with Brunskill. Like, how weird is that? I'm actually sneaky kind of for it. It's kind of against like the status quo of the NFL. Usually you don't platoon linemen, but I'm not. I
think the Niners got forced into playing Burford. I think what the Niners really wanted to do was put Burford at tackle and have him back up and be the swing tackle and put Jalen Moore at his natural position at guard. But they felt like Burford, they needed to get him on the field right away because the Niners had to play him. I think they felt like they had to start him last year. They wouldn't have done it if they felt like they had to play him. And so I think he's going to be in their best 5. Is it at guard? Is it at tackle? I don't know. We'll see. But
so you're thinking Burford might be the answer at the right tackle position? Is that what you're alluding to?
He played more right tackle in college than he did in other position.
That's true. Yeah. This I know. He's
good.
Interesting.
He's got really good feet. He's a good athlete. I think having him play guard for a year is getting him ready for the speed of the NFL. And I think an off season where he's totally bought in and he gets on the Aaron Banks, I'm going to become a badass workout plan. Yeah. I think he'll be a starter, either guard or center. It'll be good, or a guard or tackle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Kyle Shanahan calls you up, Johnny, and says, "Hey, Johnny, dude, what do you think we should do on the right side of this offensive line? Do you think we should go Burford at right guard and McKivitz at right tackle, or you think we should shift Burford to right tackle and bring in John Feliciano at right guard? Which of those combinations do you think is the better option?"
Honestly, I don't think they know. Like they might think Nick Sickell might be the right tackle. Like I don't think they know, man.
Wow.
It's just it's kind of a crazy situation right now. And to the Niners' credit, at least they know the guys that are going to be going into camp, right? Because I think if the Niners don't make any trades and move up in this draft, I don't think you can give any of these guys at 99 a starting job on this team. I don't think it's smart. It's not smart at all. And so, even Freeland, even Matthew Bergeron, who I really like, who I think if they got up into the middle part of the second round, he might be an option, maybe the top of the third round. Um, Although I wouldn't trade up for him personally. I just don't. I'm not in love with trading up for anyone in this draft class. This isn't the class to do it. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I think my overall feelings of this class is that it's below average and top tier talent. And there's a lot of guys here who, if you look at their tape, you're not going to see a massive difference.
I hear you, Johnny.
Yeah.
And we're going to do one mock draft, Johnny, and we're going to be co-GMs. Okay, let's see what guys we can kind of coordinate drafting here. And let's start this thing. I think you do more PFF mock drafts than I do. I have kind of messed around with it a little bit, but you were telling me how you like to trade around. But right now, the Niners are on the clock. Pick 99. Oh, I already see a guy who I like, Johnny. Let's
Andre
see.
Carter.
Oh, you read my mind. Andre Carter.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can click this guy.
This is a real possibility because he is so bad against the run. He's literally.
Well, I mean, PFF grade is going to disagree with you.
No. Read his first look. Read his first look.
Read his first look. Carter moves like an athlete and understands how to set up offensive tackles when rushing the passer. Carter isn't the guy you want over a tight end or tackle just yet. Keeping him in space to the open side of the field is ideal to start his career. He needs to improve his muscle mass. Carter's lack of muscle mass stuck out like a sore thumb at the Senior Bowl. He was unable to train year-round to maintain weight due to training duties at Army. So it wouldn't be outrage to see him improve considerably in this regard in coming years.
Yep. See, this is the thing with Andre Carter. So keep in mind, when you go to the Naval Academy or the Army or Army or the Air Force Academy and you're like a sick football player, you're not training for football year round. You're training to go be in the military. I actually really like Andre Carter because I think he's a phenomenal developmental prospect. I think he's a guy who, if he's there in the 90s, you snag him up and run, because I think in 2 or 3 years from now, this guy could be a terror off the edge.
Johnny, I got it. My comps are pretty insane. I usually go, because when I'm doing comps, right, Johnny, it's not fun to do like some like mediocre, like low end players. So when typically my comps shoot for like the ceiling of a player. And I got a guy, when I was watching Andre Carter, when I'm watching the tape, Johnny, you're going to laugh at this one. Dare I say I was seeing flashes of Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer.
I thought the same thing.
Are you serious? I was like, just with the size, and then he's skinnier, and Jason Taylor kind of had that build, but he's just living around the quarterback. That's what I was getting. And I mean, as soon as you start throwing out Hall of Famer, but 2021, he had the 15 sacks, the 35 hurries. Like Nick was saying, hey, how much do stats come into it? Well, with Andre Carter, the tape was impressive. And you look at his 2021 year was better than his 2022. He only had 4 sacks this past year and 17 quarterback hurries, but 15 sacks, 35 hurries, like that's insane. You look at the pass rush win rate over here is almost off the Richter scale. So honestly, I'm trying to convince you right now, Johnny, that I want Andre Carter with the
take him. Niners. Take him. I would take him. I'd run the pick in. If he was on the board at 99, I'd run the pick in.
Me too. Okay, we're doing it. We're taking Andre Carter. Okay, Johnny, let's see. You know what? This one might be more on you because at the top of this draft board, no one's I mean, I got some guys who I like, but I want to hear and I can navigate to a different position if you want me to.
So, I mean, let's talk about the Niners, right? So the Niners snacked up an edge. Nick Saliverity went a hunt. Okay, if that happens in the draft, I mean, if the Raiders did that, I would giggle for a
Wow, yeah,
while.
that's a reach. That's a reach. Usually, you get him in like the fifth, right?
I mean, I wouldn't draft him that high. I mean, he looks like a Kyle Shanahan tackle because he can't pass block. But I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. Um, so it's just good. I mean, right now, I think for the Niners, it's you're drafting guys who have high upsides, right? Because you're in this comp pick range. You're in the top 100 in picks. Not terrible players here, but I think guys who have, flaws in their game that need to get worked on over time. Um, that's why Andre Carter is really appealing here. Obviously, I like
Your
Wanya
boy,
Morris. I like
your
Wanya Morris'
boy, who
development.
you've been
Yeah.
hyping up. You already talked
Well,
about him.
hyping is.
You're okay. All right, my bad. My bad. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you like Wanya Morris, yes or no?
I like him more than the other guys at this spot, and I'd rather have Wanya Morris as the backup right tackle going into the season than any of the other guys. Will he be a good player? To be honest, I don't know. I like the fact though he's improved a lot since from where he's come from as a player. I've always liked that. So, I know you want to take Kuntz right now, don't you?
I'm not going to do it only because every time I take Kuntz in the third round, PFF
Get an
gives
F.
me an F or like a D. So it's like I want this. We're only doing one mock draft, so I want this to be a good one. So if we
Let's check
can
out
finagle,
corner.
if Kuntz slips somewhere, corner, yeah, let's look at corner.
Corey Trice is an interesting name.
Corey Trice, huh?
Yeah, I really like Corey Trice.
And Nick, while we're on cornerbacks, Nick asked, "Will SF bring back Verrett?" No, he's gone.
He's retired. He's
done.
He's a few months away from retirement. He just doesn't know it yet if he hasn't retired already.
MF, you said baller off topic, but I'm absolutely sick of the Giants platooning. Why doesn't Jock or Conforto play against lefties? I don't have an answer for you, MF. My idea is that you got Farhan crunching numbers, just looking at a computer all day, and he says, "Oh no, we got to use a lefty. Sit him on the bench." That's my answer for you.
You got Gabe Kapler selling magic berries. You got all that good stuff. The Giants have become the Oakland A's, and it's absolutely hilarious. With a brand new stadium and hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal, they have become the Oakland A's, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. Yeah. Very disappointing. So the corner, you like Corey Trice, huh? Is that you think? I'm letting you make this pick. So you want me to navigate to another position, or you think Trice is the guy?
Let's go to safety too. No, I like Jalen Johnson too, just because I like their fit in the Niners defense, and I think they're better. They have good football ahead of them. I am so out of Anthony Johnson Jr. It's not even funny. I don't understand that one at all.
Not a fan of Anthony Johnson out of Iowa State, huh?
No, I like Jamie Robertson a little bit, but I wouldn't. I'm not a. I don't feel like a lot of these safeties fit what the Niners want, because I think the Niners, this next safety they draft, has to really be a guy who can play in the deep third.
That's what I'm thinking, Johnny. That's exact. I haven't scouted the safety position, but if they do draft a safety, it's going to be someone who can cover or put him in the deep third and go sideline to sideline. Like they're not going to want. I think Hufanga is kind of their box guy, their run stuffer. That's what. Although Hufanga's got good instincts and, we can't jump some routes, I don't think center field is kind of his calling. So I'm with you there. More of a free safety, more of a coverage guy.
Yeah. I mean, Christopher Smith would be a name, but I don't like the value. I think if we're going to do like a real mock draft, he's probably not going to be there. He's probably going to go higher than this. He'll probably go in the middle of the third round. He's a good player. I wouldn't. I'm not going to take him because I think right now the Niners have to address Tat.
They
I think they
got him
have.
lower. They got him. I mean, we still do
Yeah,
have. We only took one. We still got the 2 other picks in the third round.
yeah.
So they. All right. Yeah. Hey, you do you. Who you like right here, Johnny?
I think you still Wanya Morris because quite frankly, I think the value matches the player. I think he's a developmental guy. I know he's not. He has things to work on, but I think the talent's there. It's just again, maybe a year behind McKivitz. I think regardless, none of these guys are gonna start. But I like the pick there. I think he can be a guy who can help aid this run game and be a slight upgrade in pass protection. He's pretty good in pass pro. He's not bad.
That's music to my ears because we've
Yeah.
seen the right tackles lately, namely Mike McGlinchey, really struggle in pass protection. So right here, I want to go secondary. I didn't scout a ton of secondary, so I might have to rely on you. But if we were
I'm good with that.
talking safety or corner, who are you pounding the table for? If John Lynch is like Johnny, hey, we want to shore up this secondary. Who you like right here in this spot?
I think if you're gonna go secondary, you go corner. Before we do anything, let's look at wide receiver and tight end though, because there are some corners later that I think are developmental guys. I mean, A.T. Perry. Oh, I kind of like that A.T. Perry.
Really? Wide receivers nowhere on my radar, Johnny. You think they might go wide receiver this early in the third round?
Who's their head coach?
It's Kyle. He was a wide receiver at Texas, and I watched some.
Yeah.
I watched some tape. I evaluated Kyle Shanahan Texas tape. Let me tell you, it didn't look very good.
Instead of drafting players that need like Nick Cross last year, who did he draft?
Jeez, yeah, me and you both wanted Nick Cross.
Yeah, there you go, exactly. So yeah, I think the receivers. I mean, why I like A.T. Perry, I think he'd be a direct replacement for Juwan Jennings. He has that size. He's got better hands than Juwan. He's not explosive. He's a taller guy, but he's faster than Juwan. I think he could fit that big slot role really well in this offense, and also kind of be that off-schedule move tight. He's also a very good blocker. I could see honestly if he's there, I could definitely see Shanahan taking him.
They did just bring in what's his name, Chris Conley, who's not good. I do not like Chris Conley.
He's a journeyman wide receiver, a classic 49ers signing like Willie Snead. I mean, how many random wide receivers off the scrap heap have the Niners signed? Just as a bench guy. Constant.
Always. Yeah, you need someone out there running routes in training camp. You don't want to burn out Debo and Ayuk. So yeah, that's what Chris Conley's there to do, in my opinion. I don't think he's.
Can you just click on wide receiver? I just want to see something. I want to see who else on the board at wide receiver.
Yeah. Your boy A.T. Perry's at the top.
Yeah. Parker Washington, he's all right. Trey Palmer, Xavier Hutchinson. That'd be hilarious if they drafted Xavier Hutchinson. That's like the Brock Purdy. It's a Brock Purdy connection right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see that.
I mean, honestly, I think if A.T. Perry was on the board, I think the Niners would take him. We're not. Because
he's a good value.
Yeah.
In terms of PFF's got him ranked 83. Niners are picking at 102 right here. I think we should do it. I think we go Perry. You kind of talked me into it. Wide receiver wasn't on my radar, but you're right. Juwan Jennings might get a contract similar to like Kendrick Bourne. Like, I don't think anyone thought Kendrick Bourne was going to get paid what he did from the Patriots. Some team could do that to Juwan Jennings and BA, right? We don't know. Me and you have talked, off to the side saying, is BA getting moved this offseason? I was like, no, I can't see it happening. Niners are in too much of a win now mode to trade him this offseason. But next offseason, that'd be something to monitor, because I think you might want him this year. The Niners are in win now mode, but next offseason, if you can't work out that extension, especially if he has a monster year, 11 or 1,200 yards, then he might command a lot of cash, and the Niners might have to move him, before that 5th-year option kicks in.
Yeah. The only receiver in this draft that I really like, is Rashid Rice from SMU. I know we're going back to the SMU well another year in a row after Danny Gray.
Yeah.
But I like Rashid Rice a lot. I think he's maybe a poor man's Debo Samuel. I really like Rashid Rice. I understand why he didn't play a lot last year, but he's good. But he's not on the board. But yeah, I would. But hold on, let's go at like a corner though one more time, because I don't. The problem with corner is the time the Niners pick again, there's a serious fall off. Because like,
I gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. I
so I
got
think that,
corners and wide receivers here.
okay, yeah, I mean Riley Moss, he's gonna. I have no idea what position he's gonna play. I hope he plays corner. That'd be cool. Uh, Yeah. Okay. No. We're taking the corner. I would take either Jalen Johnson or Corey Trice.
Okay. Let me read up on these guys. Let me see what we're working with here, Johnny, because I do got to sign off because this is both of our mocks. So if it,
So I'm Adam Peters and you're Shanahan and Lynch coming in off the ropes.
absolutely, yeah. You're the one, like you're the scout, you're the head scout who's done all the work on every player, and then it's like the clock's coming down,
Ty Davis
and I'm Kyle
Price.
Shanahan, like, oh, who we got? Who's it down to? Let me see. Let me check him out real quick. Oh, 2-minute YouTube highlight reel. Yeah, let me click on that.
The
Okay.
Niners select Trey Sermon. What? We just traded for a running back? What?
6'2". Oh, he's got some size. He's
Yeah,
got some size to
I
him.
I
6'2".
think Jalen Johnson fits the Niners scheme better. I like Corey Trice though. He ran a 4.47 at the combine. And
This
his
dude's
size,
6'3", so you're eyeing
yeah.
some big boys.
The Niners, I mean, the Niners have kind of gone that way too. I mean, I think having a bigger body set corner is boding well in the modern NFL. It's the reason why people want to replace Deommodore Lenoir, even though he had a pretty damn good season last year. So I think Trice is taller and the better athlete. So I would go with Corey Trice.
Hey, Trice rhymes with price. So for that reason alone, and in addition to your analysis on Corey Trice, that's what we're going. Got to bolster that secondary. Emmanuel Mosley got away. He's in Detroit now. Obviously, you got Charvarius Ward locked in on one side. Deommodore Lenoir, I've always kind of liked Demo. I was trying to pump him up last year in training camp when nobody gave a hell about him. And I was trying to say it, man, I like Demo. I like him more than Ambry Thomas. And everyone's trying to talk you into Ambry Thomas. I don't think Ambry Thomas is even going to make this team coming up here. But hey.
It's possible he might get traded. I mean, he could get traded too. I mean, he does have good tape.
Maybe a draft day. I mean, yeah, you might be able to get like a 7th-round pick for Ambry Thomas.
Yeah, yeah, he does, and I don't know. I kind of feel bad for him. I think he just really was hurt all year, and it just really kind of blew up his spot. But yeah, I don't know with Amber. But now this is because this is the problem with the Niners draft. You then go after you go 199 picks without making a pick. You then go 55 picks without making a pick.
I know. You know what? I almost wish that we could have. This might be the trade up spot after that big gap because you got all these picks right in.
Yeah.
We got multiple fifths.
Yeah.
Or is it only one multiple
three
six?
Three fives, 1 6, and then 4 sevens. But for the sake of talking about the prospects that I had to watch, even though some of them are awful, I would love to just make all the picks and go through. Because the Niners, I mean, I understand the Niners will probably trade up into the 4th round at some point and just dump some of these picks because they just have too many and don't have enough roster spots. Because the Niners, to their credit, I know this has kind of been a weird offseason. The Niners have done a good job of, signing veterans. Signing veterans that can fill a need for this team moving forward. The only place they didn't really do that is tight end and right tackle. But everywhere else they kind of and also defensive end. We're gonna get to defensive end because I think the Niners are gonna take 2 defensive ends in this draft. I think they should seriously consider it because they only have 4 on their roster right now.
Yeah, And I got some defensive ends I'm eyeing too, Johnny. In fact, why don't we
No
just
boy.
pull up? Why don't we pull up defensive end right here? Just see, because right now I'm looking at tight end. I've talked about tight end. I think the Niners are going to draft one, maybe even two. But right here, out of these tight ends, who jumps out at you as the guy? You've talked about Payne Durham. I know you like Durham. Is that the
Yeah.
guy you would pick?
I think he's the best fit for the Niners. He blocks. He can receive a bit. He's not exactly like he's not exactly, he's not Kittle. He's not going to be some crazy fifth round tight end who's super explosive. But he'll be productive. He'll fit this scheme well because he's an able and willing blocker. He's not just willing. Like he can actually move people in the run game.
And I'm not going to disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But I like Josh Wiley, Johnny. What do you think about Wiley?
I love Wiley too. I like Wiley too. He's a good receiver.
I just think Josh Wiley's more of a weapon. I think he's better after the catch. I think he's more explosive. And I also think he might not be as good of a blocker as Payne Durham, but he gets in there. Like I'll say he's more physical than Zach Kuntz.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we could take them both. We got like 9 picks right now in the next like 12. So like, yeah, we can take them both. And
well, yeah, you know what? And that's both of those tight ends might be a little bit of a reach there. I think we should actually check out another position right here, where maybe a player could slip past us.
There's a player that go to safety. I want to talk about my draft crush. I know he should be there. Where are you? There he is. Daniel Scott. He's the Cal safety.
This is your guy, huh?
This is my guy. I have a feeling the Niners are going to draft this kid because he's a late round safety who does not play like a late round safety. He's an older prospect too, but he also was the third. I think he was the third most athletic safety at the combine. Like he ran like a sub 4.5. He had crazy great measurables, and his highlight tape is very good. Like he's a very good safety. I think one of the reasons why he's not super beloved in NFL circles is because Cal was awful and they got picked on a lot this year. But they got picked on not because of Daniel Scott. They were just a bad football team this last year. I really like Daniel Scott. I think he's the best safety on the board. I know people have been linking the Niners to Brandon Hill. And I think that's a good pick in the 6th or 7th round, but the 5'10" factor really bothers me. Daniel Scott's at least almost 6'1". Like he has height, he has a lot of speed, he has pretty good ball skills at that. Daniel Scott's been. I've watched the tape, and I really like Daniel Scott.
Hey, I'm not going to argue against you. He's a Berkeley boy. I spend a lot of time out in Berkeley. That's
that Oregon game was tough to watch, though. He's a guy I think you can plug in on special teams. Give him a year behind Deshaun Gibson, and he could be a guy who's starting in a year. I really believe that. But again, not a guy who's going to impact the 2023 49ers.
And would you say he's more of a coverage guy, or he's more of like a strong safety, like a run fitter, or he's kind of a combo? Like what
he's a combo. He pressured a lot. There's a lot of really good tape where he's at the free safety and he flies into the flat and makes a tackle on a tight end or a wide receiver in the flat. He's got really, really good speed. Like he can absolutely fly. I think he's a JUCO guy, so it took him a while to kind of figure it out. But yeah,
hey, you don't got to talk me into it anymore. I'm gonna take Daniel Scott right here. Is that what you want to do, Johnny?
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay, all right. Let's take Scott. Now.
I do like Mike Morris there too. I like a defensive end tackle, move inside and bully people.
Okay, as you know, looking at this list here,
it's getting bare bones, fellas.
Whoa! Chill.
I'm kidding.
Let me make sure. Oh,
Nick Hampton.
Yeah, is he gone already?
He's gone. He probably was gone the 4th round.
Damn. Yeah, I like Nick Hampton. I wanted to get him like with one of these picks. The other guy I like, this guy, if Nick Hampton's gone, I'm going to try to talk you into Incoom. We might be able to wait, I guess. PFF's got him hella low. But I like the Incoom tape, Johnny. Let me ask you, Incoom, This dude's got, I'm looking for that speed rusher. I want someone with some speed off the edge, Johnny, because it's like Drake, he's bendy, he's toolsy, but I want someone who's going to bend the corner, make the quarterback step up in the pocket, push him into Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead, kind of just that speed rusher that you're bringing in strictly on pass rushing situations. That is what I want. And Incoom, I feel like kind of fits that role. But also, I want to ask you about a player who's already gone. He's way, way, way gone. But if this player made it to the third round, the back end of the third, or if they had to move up a little bit, and I'm talking about Nick Herbig out of Wisconsin, that's a no. That's a no.
What
He doesn't.
position does he play? So this is the weird thing with this edge draft. There's like 5 guys who are like 6'1", 220, or 220 to 230.
You don't think he could be just like a pure speed rusher, like
No,
second
it's
and
too
long, third and long
short.
guy?
He's got no length. It's just gonna be
Yeah,
he'll
I knew I
win.
freaking knew you were gonna say that, Johnny. I freaking knew it. Because I like Herbig, man. It's like that's the thing. That goes back to Nick's question earlier, talking about the measurables. And when I watch the tape, the dude's got the burst, he's got the bend, and yeah, he is smaller. But sometimes that kind of goes to your advantage. You're able to kind of duck under arms and kind of. He was ultra productive at Wisconsin. I knew you were going to talk about he's got the short arms and he's 6'1". I just like the football player, Johnny.
If I was an NFL offensive coordinator and it's 3rd and 8 and I see him on the field, do you know what I'm calling? I'm calling a run. Calling a run right at him.
Then you're fucking getting 5 yards and you're punting. So congratulations, you got 5 yards and you're punting because we got Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. It doesn't matter that there's a 6'1" defensive end out there when you got guys like that Hufanga cleaning it up.
But
you know what? And I knew he doesn't feel like a Niners guy, but he's a baller guy.
Nah.
He doesn't feel like a Niners guy, but he's a baller guy.
Honestly, I hear what you're saying. Like, he's very talented, but I think like these guys like Hampton, if they're gonna make it in the league, they need to play linebacker. And the other part of this is that they played on the edge all through college, and they didn't play linebacker. And so these are guys who might get cut. Like, you might be able to get these guys off practice squads for free. So,
what do you think about Incoom? What do you think about Incoom? Let me hear it. Yeah.
If I was gonna go, I think going 2 edges is smart. Here's the thing, though. We kind of drafted a speed guy. Andre Carter's fast. Like, he's long, lengthy, and fast. Like, he can move. Like,
that's true.
That's true. So
I'm not going to force it. But Incoom is a guy, and plus now looking at it, we might be able to get him in a couple rounds. So why don't we get off of Incoom? Let me get on it. And he is a guy I like, though, because let me just tell you my notes on Incoom. He's got a great get off, and it's consistent. It's like some guys, it's sometimes he's getting off the ball and he has good acceleration. Incoom, Johnny, I kid you not, every freaking snap, this dude is flying off the ball, and
he's good.
I like him. He's showing me speed. What do I have? Do I have his combine notes here?
He's a
4.66. Yeah, I mean, he's got respectable. He's got a good 40-yard dash. I mean, he's a pass rusher. So maybe Incoom later, but right here, let's switch it up. Well, what do you think? I mean, I like Fehoko. Just looking at this list here.
You put the board back up. You took it down when you yelled at me.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, because I knew you weren't going to like Herbig. I freaking knew it, Johnny.
Yeah, MF. Larry likes all Notre Dame players like John Lynch. Right? Yeah, we know he likes Foskey. We know he likes Michael Mayer. Yeah, we know.
I like Foskey too. Hey, I can't not disagree. I mean, do you not like Foskey or do you not like Michael Mayer? I mean,
I'm not as high on Foskey as other people are. I'm genuinely not as high on anyone in this draft class. I don't know. I
like Foskey, but that was because I thought there was a chance he would make it to the end of the 3rd round, and then now I hear he's like maybe a 1st-round pick, probable 2nd-round pick, and at that point I'm like, that does feel a little steep.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, basically after I would say Miles Murphy, you go Will McDonald, Felix, BJ, Anadipa, Herberg, Carter, Foskey, McGuire. Like you go off like the next like 10 guys and Harrison. They're all like good players, but they all have weaknesses in their game. And it's hard to tell what exactly they need to make them a better football player.
Ooh, okay, a name just jumped out at me right here, and my boy Kelts has been all over Keaton Mitchell. He's been hyping him up, and Larry's talked about him. Do you think there is something to? Could Kyle Shanahan want to go back to the running back well and kind of get that speed element that he lost with Raheem? You know, McCaffrey, he kind of does it all, but I wouldn't say, running the stretch zone is McCaffrey's like strength.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you trade Elijah Mitchell, which could happen, I think there's 3 Niners who could be traded during the draft. The least likely is Ayuk. I don't think he's getting dealt. I think the Niners agree with our evaluation, just because if you trade Brandon Ayuk, there's not a receiver or a tight end you're going to take who's going to produce what he does. So no. Second, and then the other two, I think Trey is in the middle of. I think it's 50-50. I really do. Right. But I think Elijah Mitchell is closer to 90-10. He gets traded.
Wow. I mean, he has been banged up. You think they're just kind of fed up with the injuries?
I think they like Jordan Mason.
But they didn't put him on the field, Johnny. He couldn't even get on the field.
Because he was a rookie, and Kyle Shanahan is allergic to rookies. He's allergic. He cannot play them. They're too dumb to play in his system for some reason, even though Elijah Mitchell was fantastic his rookie year. Guys, I'm joking. Don't take me seriously. Don't try and cancel me.
But realistically, do you think Keaton Mitchell in this spot is palatable or not palatable? Is not the right word.
It's definitely do you think? Oh yeah, I think it's definitely palatable. I think the Niners are going to. I think they should draft a running back and a wide receiver, just because there's guys.
What position you want me to navigate to right here, Johnny? I want to up the tempo on this thing. Where our draft clock, we probably would have gotten skipped. Our draft clock might have ran out a couple times on these picks.
But remember, though, you got to count the minutes you would have had in between to figure out who's still on the board.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Because we're doing like immediate PFF. They don't mess around. It's like instantaneous. You're on to your next.
You have it on turbo, not just fast. Yeah. You have it on turbo.
Well, of course, I'm always on turbo.
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly, Fajuco I'm not as in love with him as everybody else is, as I just don't know. I think he's a tweener in the NFL. And I think at San Jose State, he was a badass because he was on the WAC. But I don't see him being a dominant edge in the league. I really think he's more of a tweener guy who's outside on rundowns and inside and passing downs, which isn't a bad thing. I like the value. It's 164. I also like Dylan Horton. So because of this Horton and the kid from Central Michigan on the board, let's stay off edge. We took a safety already. We took a tight end. Let's look at I think offensive weapons. So I'd say a wide receiver, tight end, or
did we take Wiley?
No, we didn't. We took my safety. Took Daniel Scott.
Oh, dude, we got to go to tight end, man.
Yeah, they're both right there. I'm good with either, to be honest, because I think Durham Payne would get on the field faster for the Niners, but I think Josh Wiley has better upside in the 5th round. I'm good with either one. Take the projection.
We're going Wiley. Wiley, I like Wiley. I like Wiley. And I really want a tight end. I want to improve that tight end too. And if I had missed out on Wiley there, I got to be honest, I would have been disappointed. So I'm glad we got Wiley. I'll leave this one to you. What position you want me to check out here?
Let's go wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
See, okay, this is a guy who I really like, Raheem Jarrett. I know he's been kind of an S show, for lack of a better word. I don't want to swear.
Just pulling up PFF, you see a lot of orange. The drop rate is high.
I know.
16.7. That's oh no, not. I mean, I haven't scouted him, so I don't really want to doubt you, Johnny. But he's a big play machine. So is he Danny Gray? Like, what is he?
No, he got hurt this year, and I don't think he's 100% back. If you go back to 2021, his tape was pretty damn good, and he barely got the ball. So I just feel like he's a player who's undervalued just because he's just was in a bad offense, and the Tua's brother kind of sucks.
Tua's brother. Tua brother's playing because he's Tua's brother.
Yeah, exactly. The teams they wanted to recruit him so they can tag their name to Tua. But yeah, I don't like his 2021 year. He was a guy who like starred as a guy who could be a dude. He had a rough year this last year. There's no question about it. But last year, 2021, he was a good wide receiver, a really good one. So I like taking shots in the later rounds on guys who've produced at high levels and have good measurables. I don't think he's did any of the combine, but his play speed is ridiculous.
And we're gonna get back to the draft. MF is breaking some news here,
Ooh.
saying sources confirmed, to the Nevada Indy that the Oakland A's and the Red Rock Resorts are closing in on an agreement to construct a $1 billion baseball stadium. A $1 billion baseball stadium? How much did it take? How much did it cost to build Levi's? How much did it cost to build Levi's Stadium?
It was a couple billion, I think, because
approximately 1.3 billion. Okay,
yeah,
I guess it sounds like a lot, but I guess that's just the going rate for a stadium.
Well, inflation's out of whack right now, so everything's way more expensive than it should be.
Wow, so that means the A's are leaving Oakland? Is that what this means right here?
I mean, finally. I mean, have you seen the A's attendance for like the last 10 years?
They've been boycotting the fans. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of A's fans. People really do love the A's. I've moved out in the East Bay. Dude, when I'm walking around downtown Walnut Creek, I'm seeing A's hats, A's jerseys all over the place. And growing up, on the peninsula, in South City, and you watch the stadium, no one's at the games. I thought A's fans didn't exist. But no, they're real. They're really out there. They're just boycotting the team. They don't like the owners. They're not showing up. So
the Wolf family is one of the richest families in America. And they have learned in baseball, it's better to suck and hammer the luxury tax while everyone's over it and just make free money. I mean, that's baseball ruined themselves with the luxury tax format they made. At least in the NBA, it's warranted because there's only a few teams that are profiting the way that other certain teams are. But in baseball, it got so out of whack. It's gone so extreme. The teams don't have to spend if they don't want to. And because of that, the Rays and the A's at least the Rays have been in the World Series. They've been competitive. They've done a great job drafting. But the A's, it's been a complete disaster. And if you're an A's fan, I'm sorry for you. It's disgusting what they've done. Disgusting.
Wow. And now they're following the Raiders out to Vegas.
Not surprising. Putting baseball in Vegas
is not surprising, but and I know it's like a rivalry, and even with the Niners and the Raiders, it's a rivalry. You're supposed to hate them. But let me tell you, I kind of liked having multiple teams in the Bay. I remember my dad took me out to an A's game, and it's like we sat right behind the dugout, and I was asking Kevin Mensch, who was on the Rangers, for his armband. I was like, Mensch, throw me your armband. Yeah. I was just right there because you could just get out there because it's the
Coliseum. It was a lawless jungle.
It was, yeah. It was like, I mean, we bought tickets probably in the upper deck, and then my dad we're just walking right on down, and the lady working the ticket working the ticket area, just come on, go on down, have a seat, enjoy the game.
Yeah,
just how it was. So it's even though we have this rivalry, and I'm not really supposed to like the A's, I'm supposed to like the Raiders. I liked having multiple teams in the Bay Area. I liked the rivalry. So it'll be sad to see him go. But when you do make that cameo trip out to Vegas, it will be it'll be something to see. Then you get out, you grab one of those big long cocktails while you're walking down on the strip that are like all those fruity colors, and they give you a headache after because it's got a bunch of sugar in it.
So much
But you
sugar.
pop a couple of those, and then you go watch an A's game. You go watch a Raiders. Maybe not the Raiders. No, maybe
not the Raiders.
Anyway,
the Legion Stadium is expensive.
No kidding.
It's expensive. Very expensive to go to a game, man. Really expensive. It's like five. It's way worse than the Warriors here or like the Niners. Way worse.
So I want to get back to the draft. I want to get back to the draft there. But thanks, MF, for breaking that news. But Raheem Jarrett, like, do you want him right here? Or you want to let's look at another position?
We'll look around.
Shop around.
Yeah. I know Dante Dumas, he's a big muff punt guy. Jarrett's the two Maryland guys, the only two. Like Ronnie Bell, I've watched him play. He's pretty good. He's definitely a possible option. I really like the kid from Arkansas, Matt Landis, the 6'4" kid. I liked him too. I think I think he'd really be good with Trey Lance, but we'll see what happens. But he's a 6'4", big wide radius. I think he's a guy, he makes some really nice catches and he's played okay in a pretty good conference. But yeah, no. Let's look at running back. We can take Mitchell if he's still there.
Okay.
I take Mitchell.
He is. You know what? I want to check out defensive tackle, Johnny. We haven't taken a defensive tackle, and that is a position that I did scout pretty hard. See, where am I missing it?
It's going to be tough for them. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to take a D tackle. They took 5 of them. They already got 5 on the roster,
Who are they? Javon Kinlaw, Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, T.Y. McGill, Kevin Givens,
Kalia Davis. They got
Kalia
6. Davis.
I mean, okay. You know what?
That's a thing. Yeah.
Guess what? I don't care. I want to look at defensive interior.
Hey, it's your
Jonah Tavai was ultra productive at San Diego State. Ultra productive. He's another one of those tweener guys. When I was watching Tavai,
but he's like 290 though. Like he's not. He's not like a tweener like 270. Like he's not the Solomon Thomas tweener.
No, he's like thick. He's thick.
He's a real he could be a 3 technique and be good.
Like Jonah Tavai could play on my team any day of the week. I just think he's just a really good football player. He was ultra productive. Might as well just click on him here. I mean, look at PFF, give him a 92 grade. That is like you're seeing that's premium grading by PFF. They really like this guy. He had back-to-back double-digit sack years, over 40 hurries back-to-back years. I mean, Johnny, that's insane. That is insane production.
I mean, listen, if the Niners are going to move on from Javon Kinlaw, I would love to take Jonah Tavai because I feel like he can be another Kevin Givens. I think that's exactly who this player is. I like the player though. I like the pick. But I think the way the draft has fallen for us, I like getting an offensive weapon here, just because.
You like Mitchell?
I honestly I want a receiver, but I am so down on this receiver class. And if the next DJ Jones, I don't know about that. That's DJ Jones is a hell of a player, and this draft class has got everyone here has got a long way to go. This is one of the weaker draft classes in the last 5 years in the NFL. Not saying it's
I don't have a DJ Jones, but I have like a Charles Omenihu type.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Charles Omenihu type. Why am I blanking on his name? Out of West Virginia, my boy Stills. My boy Stills out of West Virginia. This is my Charles Omenihu kind of replacement where he can be outside on rushing downs, on base downs. Then you flip him inside on passing downs. He had 21 hurries. That's a nice number. What do you think about Dante? I mean, not here at this pick, but just in general. Do you like Stills as like a later round prospect?
I like him in the 7th round. Like if he's there in the 7th round, I like that. He's a tough one because I think he's 6'1", right?
I think he's bigger than that, dude. No. Okay, he's
Okay.
6'3". He's
Okay.
6'3". To be honest, I
Yeah.
thought he was bigger than that. To me, like he looked jacked. That was one of the reasons I liked him. I'm like, dude, this dude looks like a physical specimen, and the tape also looked good.
Mm-hmm. Dante
So
Stills. I mean, yeah.
let's get off Stills. Let's get off Stills here. I just wanted to point him out. And
No, I like him too. I like this tape too. I just thought he was shorter. I don't know why I did, but I did. Maybe I think I confused him with somebody else.
so what do you think here? What position you want?
I would go offense again, and I would look at probably, yeah. I would say I would take a shot on a receiver just because
Mhm.
I think that, right now is an area where I think I would probably take Ronnie Brown or Ronnie Bell. Probably the PFF algorithm won't like it. I don't care. I would either go there or I would go edge and take Dylan Horton. That's what I would do. Because I think these
Mm.
receivers are going to fall to us later, but I like receivers with some speed. I would either go there or I go edge, and I would take Dylan Horton. I don't care about the PFF grade. Dylan Horton's a beast. Oh, PFF took. Oh, he's gone. Ha ha ha. PFF. Yeah, he's gone.
He gone. He gone.
Damn it.
You know what that does? That opens the door for my guy, Johnny.
Take him.
I'm taking my boy Incoom. I like this guy. He's got the speed element that I want. I want to add, and the Niners did sign Austin Bryant, from the Lions. He kind of had some injury plagued seasons with the Lions, and he was a Clemson guy coming out. But I watched some tape on Austin Bryant. I got to say, I watched a 3-minute highlight reel on this kid, Austin Bryant. He's got some intriguing pass rush moves. Austin Bryant, who the Niners signed for cheap, he's going to be intriguing. And if you ask me, is Austin Bryant going to make this team right now? I would say yes, because he is kind of that only. I mean, Drake Jackson's is a pass rusher, but Austin Bryant is a crafty kind of speed, just like a pure pass rusher. Where honestly, I was pleasantly surprised when I watched that 3-minute highlight reel on Austin Bryant. I think he's got something.
Yeah,
but I also like Incoom. I want to add to the room. I want to add another guy because Austin Bryant's the only pure speed guy or like a pure pass rusher that I'm seeing right now. Maybe Drake Jackson too.
I mean, honestly, now's the time to take projects because most of these guys are never on the practice squad anyway.
I took Incoom. This is your pick right here.
No, take Incoom. Take Incoom. Give it.
No, I already did.
I love it. Let's see what you took the board down.
Oh, my bad. Shoot, I said all that and I didn't even give you guys the pleasure of watching me select Incoom. I'm pretty sure I took him. Yeah, I took Incoom.
Yep. I would go Jalen Moore, Crop or whatever. I tried watching his tape. He's a little harder to find, but I did like his game. I just don't think he's fast enough for Shanahan. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Yeah, he's just small. He's a crafty route runner guy. He reminds me a little bit of Ayuk. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I see the best receiver, skill player on the board probably. So I would actually take the shot on him.
And your boy Ronnie Bell's still there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ronnie Bell had he considering Michigan kind of had some rough quarterback play at times last year. Ronnie Bell was pretty good. I think he's like, I think he could be a legit player in a couple of years. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, I think now you kind of just go weapons and go high upside. So we'll take Ronnie Brown. I think he's a little on the slower side though. Do they have his 40 yet?
Where can I find that? I don't know if they got it up here.
Or was he hurt? He ran a 4.43. Let's take Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown? Right, you're thinking of the old Miami Dolphins running back. You're talking Ronnie Bell.
Ronnie Bell. That's
Ronnie Bell. All right, let's take him.
But honestly, let's take Ronnie Brown though. Let's get Kyle Shanahan. Okay, we're in a 4 or 5.
Little wildcat action. Bring back Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Bell. Yeah, Ronnie Brown.
I'm just like waiting for like a Michael Scott moment where like they say Randy Moss and like he like comes back out, like he can still play and probably like would catch, or like Terrell Owens and catch like 50 balls and still be kind of nasty. I could see T.O. doing that at 50. He's still like in ridiculous shape. If there's one guy who could do it, I think T.O. could do it. Hot take.
Johnny. I mean, to me, I've told you I scouted tight end, DN, D tackle. Jonah Tavai is probably the player I like the most at this pick, just of the guys I've watched.
I agree.
All right, say no
I'm
more.
out on Bennett.
Jonah Tavai, he was ultra productive. I think he's going to push, if he does well, he might be able to push a T.Y. McGill out of a draft spot or off of the team, off of a roster spot. So I like Jonah Tavai. I'm trying to add depth. I'm trying to add, you know what? And I want to see what other tight ends are available here. One guy, my deep sleeper tight end is Daniel Barker.
Is he the move tight end? Like he's kind of smaller.
Yeah, he's kind of small. He's not Marshawn. He's 6'4". He's not really that small. Marshawn Ford is like the small dude. Like you want a Delaney Walker kind of guy, 6'2", 240. Yeah. Marshawn Ford reminded me of like a Delaney Walker, who I did like Marshawn Ford. But Daniel Barker's kind of my late round. Not even here. He's probably like an undrafted guy, but I do like Daniel Barker.
Go back to the top 4 because there was a player that I did like. Malik Jones, linebacker.
Let's take him.
Yeah.
Say no more.
That's when you take linebackers, fellas, late in the draft.
Yeah, I like that philosophy. Niners already got a couple. Obviously they lost Azeez Al-Shaair. I'm surprised there was not more of a demand for Azeez Al-Shaair. Rand Carthon over in Tennessee, he knows what Azeez Al-Shaair is going to bring to the table. And I think they got a steal at a really good value. I don't remember how much it was, but I remember it was really freaking cheap. And it was a hell of a value for a good football player.
Because he was banged up this year. He was hurt most of the year, Al-Shaair. I think
that's probably why.
Also, he's a guy who tore his ACL out of college, so he's got a little bit more of injury history than I think most Niner fans remember because he did play much until Greenlaw got hurt.
Niners got 2 picks left, Johnny. Who's coming to mind? Who you want to? I know you're pissed off. You missed out on your boy Horton, but who you eyeing here?
I mean, these are Taylon Mullen was a guy who was really high in this process early, who kind of fell off. I'm out. No, we didn't trade Trey Lance. No.
I was just wanted to check out what quarterbacks there were because if the Niners did move Lance, maybe you would. I don't know, man. Hey, a lot of Niners Twitter likes Max Duggan. Won a lot of games at TCU, but sounds like you're out on him.
A lot of Niners Twitter like Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why we're in this mess to begin with. Tell me I'm wrong.
I miss Madison Bumgarner just having his temper tantrums on the mound.
I was so upset when they didn't sign him, but then, he's awful now.
He fell off a cliff right after the Giants let him go. Madison Bumgarner.
I know. It's sad.
Yeah.
He had one of the best. It's like Lincecum, one of the best 5-year runs in the history of baseball, in particular the postseason. And
he's a legend, man. Forever. He will eat for free in the Bay Area forever. Whenever he wants to leave that ranch, wherever he's got it at, and he's got all his trucks.
He's never leaving that ranch. That ranch is where he's going to live for the rest of his life. He's never.
I know they're gonna drag him out here for some ceremony.
They should retire his number. Honestly, he single-handedly won them a world championship. Barry Bonds didn't even do that. Willie Mays didn't do that. Willie McCovey didn't do that.
Madison Bumgarner he's insane. I mean, he was a monster in the postseason, pitching on short rest, just shutting teams down. Bumgarner was freaking big.
It's one of the best modern championship performances that does not get talked about.
So what are you thinking here? I mean, I feel like we kind of covered. I mean, maybe another offensive lineman. I want to pull up O line. Let's see if there's an O lineman that kind of
I mean, the Niners are
pops
pretty.
out at you potentially.
No,
I know we're really
I
late.
I like. Okay, if we're gonna take somebody at O line, Caleb Chandler is a guy. I ended up watching his take because I actually did like some of the Louisville guys. Low,
Their quarterback's getting drafted too, right? They got an athletic quarterback that might get drafted. Is it
Malik
Cunningham?
Cunningham. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have some talent this year. Yeah, Chandler, Caleb Chandler. He's a zone guard. Could be a center. Developmental guy for sure. Definitely wouldn't like that. I would definitely like that. He had a really good season in 2021. Like I do
Mhm,
remember seeing that on PFF. Like he was highly rated. Had
mhm.
a pretty awful season, probably because of injury. So, I would take a shot. Why not? He's a
Is it
practice squad guy.
Yeah, let's do it. We're late. We're late.
Really.
Well, you know what? There's one more
We
thing I kind of want to look into here real quick.
we pick again in one pick. So
Is the
we have
Okay, the
two picks
kickers are
left.
gone. You can't get the kickers now, huh?
Well.
Is that ST? That's where you find the
Yeah,
kicker?
ST, yeah. Unclick, yeah, they're super low rated. I just fundamentally don't believe in drafting a kicker. Take
Mm.
Moody.
Moody is the guy because the other draftable kicker is it Smits or
Yeah,
is it
Ryland too.
Ryland?
They
I
they
think
they're
it's
saying
Ryland.
they saying that four kickers might be drafted this year, four place kickers. They're good.
You know what? I'm going Moody. Sorry, I'm going
That's
Moody. I'm
fair.
overruling you. I want Moody, but I'm going to
And
leave you with this pick. I'll give you the wild card because I don't want to just go in to the season with Zane Gonzalez. Like I don't know if I feel comfortable
hey,
doing that.
Robbie Gold hasn't signed yet. Just saying. And John Lynch, he
I
thanked
don't
all the
think he's
players.
coming back though. I don't think he's coming back, man. He's made it so clear. Well, we'll see. Well, I
We'll
wouldn't be
see.
opposed to it like on a 1 year
Never
deal.
Never say never. The Niners, again, John Lynch said his goodbyes to all the players at
I know, but
the
Robbie
owners
Gold
meeting,
literally has let it be
except
known he
for Robbie
doesn't
Gold.
I feel like Robbie Gold's let it be known he does not like living in the Bay Area.
Well, that's funny because I always see him at the Tahoe Golf Classic, and he seems to like it a lot then.
I mean,
He's having a
Tahoe's like
grand old
borderline
time.
Nevada though. Tahoe, I had a lot of fun out in Tahoe. Shout out my boy Barry and his bachelor party. We were out on the boat yelling for Steph Curry at the celebrity golf tournament. A lot of fun out in Tahoe. But I'm going to leave you with this pick right here. Ooh, I mean, what do you want to do? It's the last pick. Hey, but
Um,
Niners did take Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. They made it count last time. Johnny, can you do the same?
hey, actually, in our mock draft last year, I took Brock Purdy at the last pick.
In
Do you
our
remember that?
mock draft?
Yeah, we took
In the
Brock
one me and
Purdy.
you did? We might have to go into the archives and
Yeah,
dig that one up.
we took Purdy
Wow.
because I started when on the PFF board he started being available, and I started taking him. I took him in a lot of mock drafts last year, which is actually kind of hilarious. Because even then, I was just like my opinion was like, yeah, we'll see. But I think you take a quarterback every year, pretty much. But yeah, I did take him in quite a few mock drafts last year. Not, but I did. I'm not one of those people saying I knew he was going to be the world's greatest quarterback because I would have taken him much earlier. So keep that in mind. I'm pretty sure that we took him in a mock draft we did. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
last year. But I
So
would
what
go
is there
Tyron Mullen.
anyone? Oh,
Yeah,
Tywan Mullen, huh?
he was. I think he's a similar guy. Like I think he had a really good freshman year. Yeah, that's what it was. He had a really good freshman year, and Indiana kind of a mess. He's probably a nickel. He could also be a safety, an undersized safety, a free safety. I just think the Indiana defense in the last couple of years has put some good players in the league. And honestly, I take a shot on a team with some talent. So that's what I would do.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're taking Tywan Mullen. PFF's going to give us a draft grade, and they
It's
better
going to be
not piss me
awful.
off.
It's going to be
Don't piss
awful.
me off, PFF. What do we got?
Nailed the.
What
There
do we
you go.
got? Hey, B plus.
Mm-hmm.
B plus. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, let's just embrace this whole draft real quick. We'll sum it up. we'll kind of wrap it up. Andre Carter, you're getting the toolsy pass rusher with a lot of potential. He's got the length. You're banking on him, getting his weight up, building up his strength after leaving Army. You got Wanya Morris, kind of a high upside tackle. Corey Trice is a corner you liked. Daniel Scott is a safety out of Berkeley, who you convinced me of. And then Josh Wiley, Thomas Nkoun. Those are two players I really like. Josh Wiley, I think he's a weapon. He's really good after the catch. He can get open.
Mm-hmm.
He's a willing blocker. Thomas Nkoun, I think he's just a pass rusher who, that's what he's going to do. You're not going to put him in on base downs. You're going to bring him in on 3rd and long, 2nd and 9, and let him get after the quarterback because he's got really good burst. Ronnie Bell, a receiver. Niners have been kicking the tires on some receivers. They brought in Chris Conley. We don't know what Ayuk's future holds. So adding a receiver like Ronnie Bell, Jonah Tavai, I think he's just a really freaking solid player. I mean, PFF gave us an A+. I'm going to give it an A+. He just impacts football games, getting after the quarterback. He's got Jonah Tavai, he's got built-in leverage just with his size. Like, he's just got natural leverage. 6'1", 290 pounds. Like,
he looks like Kevin Givens. He looks like Kevin
Yeah.
Givens. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities. I thought I was watching Kevin Givens when I watched him.
Thicker than Kevin Givens, to be honest.
He might be. But he reminded me a lot of Kevin Givens when I watched him.
Michael Jones is a linebacker you like, kind of compete for that third role, or maybe he's on the practice squad for a year. And then Jake Moody, I wanted to bring someone in to challenge Zane Gonzalez because I don't feel 100% confident just kind of handing it over so willingly to Zane Gonzalez, who I think he's solid, but I want to kind of push him. I like competition. And in my opinion, Jake Moody, he's the top kicker on my board. And then we wrap it up with a Tywone Mullen, who what's your kind of 10-second thought on Tywone Mullen?
Had a really good freshman year. Sort of kind of fell apart. He had some injuries. He's a shorter tight end. He's definitely, I think he's a special teams guy though, or maybe a nickel corner, or maybe even a free safety. He's got good speed. But yeah, I think he's a guy. He's a dart throw. He's a talented dart throw.
We'll wrap it up with MF's comment. He said, "You guys see a similar type QB to Brock Purdy in the draft who can excel in the league?" Johnny's shaking his head no. The guy who comes to mind, Johnny, is who? Stetson Bennett.
God.
I don't know. But he's like what's his story? Is he like a bad human being?
Stetson Bennett? Yeah, he's just a cocky son of a. He's that guy he was that guy in high school who went to play basketball with the 5th graders and then was all excited that he beat him and then talked a lot of crap about it. Because when you think about that, the age gap is actually pretty right because he's 25, 26 years old. And he's old. And he will probably have a rude awakening in the league because his arm is not very strong. There's a lot of teams are saying he's going to go undrafted. So
yeah,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the I see the Jake Haener comparison. I just don't think Jake Haener's as good as Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy was the best thing that ever happened to guys like Jake Haener and all these guys because it's going to push them up the draft board this year. Because teams are going to like, we should take a quarterback and these guys will make some more money. So good for them. But yeah, there's not another Brock Purdy in this draft. Brock Purdy is 1 of 1, just like most NFL players are 1 of 1s. Yeah. I'm not, but again, my initial feelings is this is not a draft class to sell the farm on.
Hey, well, in that case, maybe it's okay that the Niners don't have a 1st or 2nd round pick. But hey, Johnny, I appreciate you giving me your time. I had a blast breaking down the draft and getting to know what prospects you really like. The chat, you guys killed it. Chat was live. I appreciate that. Like this video on the way out. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell because you don't know when we're going live. after the draft and the Niners make these picks, I'll probably have Johnny back on to hear about what he thinks about who the Niners actually pick.
Yeah.
We'll see if some of these predictions he made come to fruition.
What running back they took at the top of the 3rd round?
What running back they take in the 3rd round?
Would they take DTR on the 3rd? I would die if they took a running back, quarterback, and a defensive end in the top 100, in the 90, 101, and 102 if they stand pat.
I would lose my mind.
I would lose it. I would die laughing.
Hey, Johnny, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Chat, thanks for checking in, and we'll catch y'all next time.